Hello, you wonderful people. Well, Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat, and I'm going to talk about nothing to do with Christmas. Today, I'm going to talk about louche, and I'm going to talk about fear, and about the fact that we are being milked with fear. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. Before I get into fear, I want to tell you about something really interesting that happened to me. 3 things that happened to me that maybe have nothing to do with anything. I just thought they were interesting. So the other day, whilst I was running, I was chatting to the emissaries and they were giving it welly in the sky. They just started again. That always seems to be when I'm just about to go for a run. They go, well, that's it. Let's ruin his day. And so I was talking to the emissaries and I was saying, do you know this, and they said, do you know what, Gordon? They said, the best thing that you can do is to stop talking about them. Just stop focusing on them. Stop giving them your energy because you're giving them your energy. And then they did this, and this was something that I haven't done before. They just started doing a loop in my head and they just said, they're losing power. That's all you need to know. They're losing power. They're losing power, they're losing power. And they just kept repeating that sentence. Now, as I was running, losing power. And I kid you not, in that moment, all the work that they did in the sky just disappeared. The skies just cleared within like a ridiculously short amount of time. They stopped, they went elsewhere, and the skies cleared. And all they kept doing was repeating that in my head. And I thought, wow, is that like a sign? Because I love signs. Is that like a sign to show me that if I can just let it go, maybe they'll go? You know, that what they said before about if you're going off to the right, but all you're doing is looking at what's happening on the left, it's going to seem like you're there all the time. So that's exactly what I've done. Just let it go. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm talking about it now, but just because I've got to tell you what happened. But I'm not going to get myself all vexed about it. Then on the same day, this was a sequence of things happening. I was talking with something I'll talk about in another video, but they were saying, look, understand that even though the baddies are losing the way, they're losing their energy, they've lost. They said they're still going to put themselves in the way of the Great Awakening. They're going to put themselves there and they're going to try and stop it. They can't maintain it and they have to go away again. They come and they do something and then they disappear again. Just in that moment, as they said that, a little dog, I'm in the middle of the countryside. There's nothing there. There's nobody there. This little dog appears on the path in front of me, looks at me angrily, starts barking, wow, 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 and then ran away. And I thought, that's exactly what the emissaries have just said to me. They literally said they put themselves in the path, in the way. But they're not there for long and then they go. They make a lot of noise and then they go. Just like the little dog. And I thought, is that another message? Is that another message? And then I get home, okay? And my dog is eating some food. The girl dog, Danae. And she's going like this, doing something really funny with her mouth, and I said, "Ooh, Cynthia, she's obviously got something in her mouth." So we had a look, couldn't see anything. She was still, and Cynthia said, "Look, I can feel it here." And right between the very back last teeth, there was a bone like this, sticking. God only knows. I mean, I didn't understand it. It was a bone, but it didn't look like a chicken bone or anything. But it was sticking through her teeth and pushing into a gum. Clearly very, very painful. So what I had to do is lift up a mouth flap. It's not easy with a dog. Lift up a mouth flap, and I had to get a hold of the bone and like pull it out. It was a right old job. And that was it. She was happy as Larry. Whoever Larry is that we should compare ourselves to. And then on we continued with the day until I ate. And I ate some fish. And as I ate the fish, I went, what's that? And I had between my last molar and the second last, a bone stuck in exactly the same way, in exactly the same place, stick it into my gum. And I had to lift up, I had to do the same work again. Lift up my thing and pull the bone out. And it was like, how that happened, I do not know. What that means, I don't know. But it was just a day of like the emissary saying something and then me seeing it. And then me doing something and then it happening to me as well. Don't know what it means. I just thought it was interesting. If you have had those kind of weird things, put them in the comments, please. I'd love to know, because I don't know what it means. And I'm not going to be able to tell you what it means. Just, it's interesting. It just went beyond seeing 11:11 on the clock, which we all do now, and 23:23 and 22:22. This was a bit more weird. Now let me tell you about fear. So I was having a conversation with my son. My son's 13, coming up 14. He's clearly, he's been forced to be awake because he's overheard our conversations throughout his entire life. He knows exactly what's going on. The good thing is he has his own opinions on things. He doesn't just blindly trust what we tell him. But he said to me the other day, so why do the baddies do this? Why do they do these things? I can't remember what the theme was that he was talking about. And I said, well, there are lots of reasons, but I believe that the principal reason that they do these things to upset everybody is because that's their job. That's their job. They're here to do bad stuff. And it's to keep us in fear. And I said, I believe that they feed off our fear. They thrive on our fear. And so what they do does not need to have rhyme nor reason. If it makes people scared, great. And I think we were talking about something like the fear of an up and coming Third World War, which they're loving that one. They're milking that one, spreading it on the toast as though there were no tomorrow. Yeah, Russia's going to be coming and invading Europe, just obvious. These things that you just know, of course, that's exactly what they would want to do, isn't it? And he said to me, my son said to me, but why is it that they just keep saying these things are going to happen? Why don't they just do it and be done with it? Why have they got to keep teasing us with it? And I said, well, that's exactly the point. I used an analogy about jumping off a plane, with a parachute. The fearful bit is before you jump. Once you jump, you're committed. Once you jump, it's happening. That's not fear. That's exhilaration. That's, many, many things. But it's not fear. The acronym, false expectations appearing real. The most important word in that is expectations. Because it's always before the event that fear happens, not during the event. When you're in the heat of the battle, you're in the heat of the battle. The last thing you're doing is like, oh, it's beforehand, it's the anticipation. And that's why they use the technique, which my father used to use as well, exactly the same technique, which is, I'm not going to hit you now. No, I'm going to hit you in an hour. That's what my father used to do. You've been naughty. I'm not going to hit you now. We're going to have lunch first, then I'm going to hit you. So you can imagine what lunch tasted like to me. Not good. That's exactly what the baddies do. They will. Have you noticed? And especially, it's been going on a long, long time. As long as I can remember, there's been the threat of, used to be the threat of the Ice Age coming. Then it was the threat of the year 2000 when the computers were going to, the threat of the hole in the ozone, then the threat of acid rain, and then the threat of global warming, and then the threat of climate change, and then the threat of the pandemic, and then the threat of the Ukraine war, and now Russia. It's just non-stop. It's always the threat. Why? Because that's what makes us fearful, and that's what they feed on. And the expression is, in a moment, but not yet. This is a hypnotic technique that I use all of the time when I'm doing hypnosis. All of the time, I say to people, in a moment, but not yet. I'm going to ask you to do something. Is it bad? Is it good? It's neither. It's a neutral sentence. In a moment, but not yet. But what does it do? It primes your unconscious. Your unconscious is saying, right, it's coming. It's coming. What happens with us in the world of emotional intelligence? Our brain has a CPU, and it can handle X amount of things happening at the same time. If you've got something on your mind that is taking up a lot of your CPU, what happens is you can't concentrate on other things. What happens is that other things fall by. What happens, and let me give you an example. I'm in the process of upgrading the website for our Spanish teaching. And I'm really anxious about it because it's got to work, it's got to go well. We haven't done it yet, in a moment, but not yet, next week. And I'm aware that it's making me become absent-minded. I'm distracted. I'm missing things. And I know full well it's because my CPU, my blue circle, is doing this in my mind. Okay? Just the way that it is. So when you are primed and they say, it's very likely that there's going to be 10 days of darkness. Okay? It's very likely that all supply chains are going to fail and you need to get food in. It's very likely that all the fuel stations are going to stop and close down, so you have to worry about that. And I'm giving you examples of things that come through our channels. It's exactly the same. These are fear-based messages. On top of that, we've got other messages which aren't fear-based, but they're still in a moment, but not yet. In a moment, but not yet, we're going to have an EBS that's going to travel around the world and everybody's going to see it, and it's going to last for 3 days, 24 hours on the television. In a moment, but not yet. Nasara and Jasara is going to happen, and we're all going to have all the money that we need. In a moment, but not yet, the spaceships are coming to pick us up. Frankly, I'm up to here with in a moment, but not yet. I'm sick of it. In fact, I was sick of it a long time ago, and I stopped worrying about fucking Nasara and Jasara and the EBS. And when I see people talk about it now, still talk about it, I just think, what the actual fuck? How many years are we going to talk about the EBS? How many years? How many years are we going to talk about Nasara and Jasara? What does it do? Is it bad that maybe you're excited about Nasara and Jasara? No, it's not. Is it bad that you want the EBS to happen? No, it isn't. The problem that we've got is that when you've got these things coming up and you're expecting them and you're waiting for them, it takes away from you. It takes away, it ties up your CPU in your mind. That's all. That's why I use it in hypnosis. I use it in hypnosis because I know that when I say in a moment but not yet, I'm going to ask you to do something. I know that I've got that person's attention and they're waiting to be told what it is that they have to do. The waiting, the unconscious mind's going, come on, come on. And the CPU's giving it this. They can't focus on anything else. It narrows the focus. That's what it's all about. And we've been bombarded with that. I give messages from the emissaries in a moment, but not yet. I try the damned. I've never ever put a date on anything. Have you noticed? Never, because they haven't. If they had, maybe I would have, but they have never put a date on anything. And they say, it's happening now, we're in it now, don't worry about it, it's going to be natural. You won't even see it. So in that respect, it's not so much in a moment, but not yet, but it still is. We're just waiting to get out of this shit. But the worst of the worst are the messages about bad stuff happening soon, coming to a world near you soon. And they feed off that. In fact, that's their purpose. That's what they want to do. That's what they're here to do. To keep us shitting ourselves. So what's the answer? Well, it's easy. The answer's easy. Ha ha ha, he says. The answer's easy. The answer is this. When somebody says, in a moment but not yet, then you say, great, well, you let me know when that happens, and I'm going to be getting on with my stuff if that's all right. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. And the way that you trust the person is to look at the track record. Have they said things that have definitely happened? Or have they said things that haven't happened? Now, I could count on one hand and probably two fingers the amount of people that have said something that happened. And I can count on all of that, everybody who's watching this video, all of our fingers and toes, the amount of times that people have said stuff that hasn't happened. So that's all that we need to do. We just look at the track record. What's your track record like? Have you been good up to now? Can I trust what you're saying? The answer typically is no. Do you know why we can't trust anything that anybody's saying? Because nobody knows anything. Nobody has got a fucking clue about what's going on, no matter how much they tell you that they have, no matter how much they tell you that they're connected, that they're channeling, that they've got the cards are telling them, the pendulum's telling them, everything is telling them. Don't believe them because they don't know. Nobody knows the day nor the hour. Right? From the Bible, who knows? Maybe that's a pile of shit as well. I don't know. But I think it's a good bit of advice. Nobody knows. What have you been waiting for and what have you given up on? And how is your stock of food? Is it starting to go mouldy like what mine is? I love you all and I'll look forward to seeing you and hearing from you in the comments.